Hello, everybody. Today I'm here with the Pixar team in Disney Heroes Battle Mode. Now, the idea of this team is that there will be many different parts coming after this one that will follow the same idea, which is we are bringing in one character from each movie in order that they're released from the Pixar studio, I suppose. And what's really nice about this one in particular is that they actually go in order on the bottom of the screen here, which is just a complete coincidence. I can't believe that it worked out that way. But yeah, the first movie, I guess I'll just list the 5 movies. First is Toy Story, then A Bug's Life, Toy Story 2, Monsters, Inc., and Finding Nemo. So, it works out pretty nicely for this one. I doubt that will happen for the rest of them, but that's a pretty cool coincidence here. And I suppose even on the thumbnail then it will show like that, which is awesome. So the main challenge, I suppose, was trying to pick which characters best represented each movie. I think really the only controversial one here would be Gerald, Marlin, and Nemo, but ultimately there really just isn't a better character to choose for that one. I realize Gerald is not in the original Finding Nemo movie, but it makes the most sense to bring in Marlin and Nemo as the character to represent that first movie. Woody makes a lot of sense for that one. I know Buzz could probably be argued to be as equally as important. But we're really not going to get a chance to bring in Woody for another one, and if we eventually get to do Lightyear, then Buzz would make the most sense to bring in for that one anyways. And then Jessie too. She's kind of the main new character from the movie, but there are plenty of old characters that are in it as well. But I don't think many people would argue that Jessie's the best person to represent the second movie here. Bug's Life Flik makes sense. Sulley and Boo, I suppose, are undoubtedly the main characters of the Monsters, Inc. movie. Mike is really important, but to be fair, he is undoubtedly the main character of Monsters University, so it evens out, and they'll each get their time in the spotlight. Poor Randall doesn't get a place, which can be said for all of the villains pretty much. I can't think of a villain really that's going to take the spot over the main character, unless we get into some sequels, but I can't really think of any sequels that would even come up in anyways. But anyways, there are a few movies coming down the list here that just don't have characters in the game. And they're less than I thought they were going to be, but all 3 of the Cars movies, obviously. And then Soul, Luca, and Turning Red, which are pretty recent. Lightyear doesn't technically have a character, but Buzz worked pretty well for that. Every other movie, oh yeah, and The Good Dinosaur, I forgot about that one. But every other one, which is about, I think, almost 20 movies, has a character, which is pretty cool. And, I mean, there'll probably be another one out at the time that I finish this, but I don't know. Seems pretty unlikely at this point that we'll get more characters from the newer series, but maybe we'll get a character from Soul, Luca, or Turning Red soon. Hope seems pretty lost for those, if I'm being honest, but it would definitely be cool. I'd love to see it. But I think it's a fun idea to get to go through each of these in like a history of them. I think a similar idea could be done for the main Disney movies too, you know, starting with Snow White. But I couldn't think of like a good title for that one, and I think that one would go on for like way longer anyways, but we could certainly try it. If you have any good ideas for like a title for that, that'd be good. I want to note that I haven't noted this yet, but I lost the recording of the audio on this original video, which is maybe would have been obvious to you already, maybe not. So I'm re-recording this, and I really have no drive to do so. It really sucks recording things twice, but I'll try to get through all of it. I might stop a little short if I can't think of anything else to say. But we should also talk about each of the individual characters here, and their different attributes and how well they help out. I do want to mention, I intended for all the characters to be at red, and after recording I realized Gerald was not at red. So he's probably bringing down the team a little bit. We make it up to like chapter 24 here is the last one we end up doing. I know spoilers, but we all die in this chapter. So I started going back again. And on the other levels, characters would die here and there. We, for the most part, would make it through it. But yeah, we might have made it a little farther if I had upgraded Gerald, Marlin, and Nemo, but I'm really not sure. And it's kind of hard to know if that would be true or not, unless I just straight up did it. Which now would have been the perfect opportunity, considering I didn't have the audio for the video, but I don't care. Okay, I don't care. But yeah, everyone else has a red skill other than Flik. And Jessie already had at that level, because at one point in time I thought she was a pretty good frontline character. And I don't think she's the worst, but she might be. She has really bad health, I feel like. She has some good skills that can be helpful. Like, I think her yodeling can be pretty helpful. But overall, she's just not good enough to get in front of everybody and stay alive. Now, if I had her more upgraded, maybe that'd be different. But when I think of someone like Mr. Incredible, he's always been pretty good at being up front and taking some hits, you know. He's got a pretty considerable amount of health. And that's what I want in a frontline character, so all the characters behind him can kind of be protected. Even though most of the time, though, Mr. Gerald just ends up going out on his own, which is fine. But anyways, the movie after Finding Nemo is The Incredibles. Today is not, so we're not talking about him anymore. We're talking about Woody, who I feel like has a lot of supportive stuff. I would think of him as a support, but I do not know if he is actually considered a support character, or if he's like control or damage. But I wouldn't think of him as a damage for sure. The one nice thing is that he can pull characters forward with the lasso, which helps maybe Jessie stay alive, you know. But otherwise, I've never thought of Woody to be that great of a character, and I do not see people bringing him in. I would imagine he's probably not very good these days, if he ever even was. So that also may be bringing down the team. You know, we've got a very not great character, in my opinion. Next up would be Flik, who is by far the newest character here. And he's got a lot of very visually cool or interesting skills. The one that always comes to my mind is the bird literally just crash landing into the enemies, but he also uses inventions like the wheel on his back that kind of launches forward with the leaf on top. All of his skills have to do with the inventions. He's also got his telescope, which I think is some sort of debuff. But yeah, Flik is cool. He sometimes would be alive when no one else would be, so I think that is at least some sort of test to how good he can be, because he's probably one of the best on this team, I would imagine, and he's not even at full level. Next up is Jessie, and we already kind of talked about Jessie. Let's just move on to Sulley then. Sulley really doesn't have a whole lot going on. He's very similar to like Ralph, I would say. He's got like a roar, he swipes with his paws. I think Boo gives him some defense, and possibly even everybody defense. I think everybody actually. And they definitely have a healing thing, I remember that. I think Boo does that too. But I think that's only on themselves. So yeah, an alright tank, especially when the game first came out, I would say it was a pretty good tank. But nowadays, I don't think he can compare to the newer ones they've released. But he's alright. And probably a pretty good asset to this team. We don't have a lot of hard hitters, I would say. Jessie and Sulley are really the hard hitters here. And the others are alright, but just don't do enough, I don't think. I could definitely be wrong about that, though. Finally is Gerald, Marlin, and Nemo, and I sat here many times just like staring at them and trying to figure out what they're doing, and they really don't do a whole lot. If you're looking right now, they're doing nothing. They're doing nothing. He does bark occasionally, which I assume is some sort of stat increase or decrease for the enemies. They do have the move where the seagulls fly through the stage, and hurt the enemies. Other than that, I have no idea what else they do. I really don't. I don't know if it should be more obvious to me or not, but for the most part, it looks like he just sits still. He looks very similar to Ariel, but there's no fish coming out of the water shooting water at anybody. It's not hidden by someone. That just does not happen. Okay, Patrick, I know you're typing in the comments right now. It's your favorite reference of all time. It's not happening. Well, we've gone through all the characters. That's something we did. Overall, this team doesn't seem like the greatest. As I mentioned, we have one character at orange 0, so that probably lends to that quite a bit. But also, I just think we don't have just, I don't know, we're missing something, it feels like. And also, I draw comparisons to Flik and Gerald's movesets. They seem somewhat similar. Anyways, the video's ending, I guess. I didn't realize. I talked for plenty long. I'm going to talk a little bit longer than the video actually goes. Thank you for watching. If you have any other suggestions for teams, I'd love to hear them. You don't necessarily need to suggest the next Pixar team because I already know who the character is going to be, so you don't have to do that. I know people will do it anyways, but I'm telling you, you don't have to. I'd much rather see other suggestions for new teams that I haven't done. I'll probably be doing a TV show, Team 2, when Perry comes out. And I'm really looking for other stuff, so let me know. These Pixar ones will be a little sporadic, here and there. We'll let a few other sorts of teams come in between each part. But I plan to go through this for a while, as long as you guys are interested, I suppose. I guess if no one's watching it, then obviously I won't. But thank you for watching. I will see you soon. Goodbye.